Hey, welcome to the 513th episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by patron Nancy Hacohen. I'm Matt Enlow.
And I'm Oren Kaplan, and today we have producer Jonathan Burns on the podcast. He is a producer that both you and I have worked with. He is really fun. He's really great. And we thought that there was probably a good amount of like producer-director type of relationship topics that we can talk to him about. And I think we proved ourselves correct.
Yeah. It was a really informative conversation. It's great because you and I have both worked with him relatively recently. Oren, you just wrapped something with him, and I feel like I shot something that I just posted about actually today.
Yeah,
so relatively recently. Super fun, easy to talk to, a great guy. I do want to say it sort of sounds like we set ourselves up to just get complimented for an hour.
No. I mean, he did compliment us a lot, but I do think it was about the things that we do that maybe other people would be.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a very funny story before we get into John. Yeah. I have a director friend that you also know, and they're working with a new cinematographer, and that cinematographer did a ton of prep, made all these Google slide docs with like lighting plots and references and shot deck things, and this is for a short project.
Okay, like a short film, you mean? Or
I think it's a commercial or like a campaign or something.
Sure. Not a passion project is what I'm asking.
Yes, not a passion project.
Great. Okay.
And it's this director's like I think second time working with this cinematographer, and he did that same thing on the previous job too. And this director was like, "Hey, maybe I should send this document to some other cinematographers I know, just as a little bit of like, hey, just so you know, this is what another." I thought it was cool and super helpful, and so it's weird. It's not exactly like, hey, you should do this. It's not with that thing, but like, hey, look at this cool thing that this other director. It's like if you were working on an agency side thing and you worked with some director that made some really interesting previs document or marching orders or something, makeup references, whatever, and you said, Oren, check out this thing. This is super helpful.
Which honestly, frankly, we do. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we have a handful of people where if somebody came in with like a next level, like previs or method or something, absolutely we would tell each other about it.
Yeah. And it's tricky. I remember I had, there's a cinematographer I worked with that was telling me how cool it was that the director edited like all the footage.
We'd probably say it on the podcast too.
Yeah.
Like it would be.
But we don't know who listens to the podcast. It's like the people we work with. But a cinematographer I worked with was like, oh, this director I just worked with, he was editing all the footage the night of the shoot and showing it to the client and agency like the next morning. And everyone was getting so stoked on it. And I kind of felt like he was telling me that I needed to do that too. And I kind of went into this. And I was like, I just am too tired at the end of a shoot to just go back to the hotel room and edit the whole thing,
And I think you and I both would be victim of like, I don't have the music library, or like I don't want to undersell something that I believe is going to work because I didn't have enough time to finesse it the way it needs to be.
Right.
To put it.
Sound effects.
Yeah, exactly.
And the examples, by the way, that this cinematographer told me about did have a preset song that the director was really trying to like sell through to the client. So I don't know. It is interesting when you're like, oh, this other director does this great thing. You should do it too. And you maybe do take it personally for a second, but then you're like, oh wait, that's good to know. So I think with Jonathan, there's a lot of that where we're like, hey, isn't this thing I do a good thing that directors do?
You do want to, like there's a part of you that's like, oh, I want you to say you do it better than, not better than, but like, oh, this is great for this reason,
Yeah. No, the biggest bummer in life in what we do is that there's a lot of really good directors.
Really good directors. Yeah.
So Jordan Brady always says it's like, the rising tide lifts ships or something to that effect, which, I try to embrace.
I think that's true. But Jordan, that means that we're all making 60-page motion graphics decks now because of that rising tide.
Exactly.
A rising tide or arms race, tomato. But you bring up something else that I wanted to pitch to you before we talk to Jonathan. This weekend I had a last minute casting emergency. So I texted you and Carlin. I said, hey, I'm looking for good people, blah, blah, blah. I found some
Is it because you lost someone?
It's because of creative changes. 2 new characters were added last minute.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah. I didn't give you guys a ton of context. I basically just was like, SOS, I need good people. Here's the spec. And you both came through. I think I ended up casting casting someone that Carlin recommended, who I had also auditioned a handful of times, and went out to somebody that you recommended, and they turned me down.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Not
Was it a male actor?
No, it was not.
Oh.
But what it made me think of was like, oh, I'm so lucky to have people I can text, like, hey, do you have good recommendations? Also, it's really nice to be like shooting in LA. And you're like, oh, that's right. Like, I do know lots of good actors. And I'm refilling that bank of people who I know I can call in and I know will be really funny. Whereas it had kind of been depleted because people, got like old enough that they're in kind of a different class, like they're SAG now and things like that. Like this was like very much in that zone of like, I needed like UCB people who were really funny but new and weren't union yet, basically. Like those jobs that like support young people so that they can level up eventually. And anyway, it made me think, oh, should we put together like a group chat, like a director group chat, like an SOS line?
Yes. I mean, you know that I just like love talking nonstop.
Yeah.
Who will listen to me?
Yeah, but like a WhatsApp, but we'd have to really like
curate the people in it.
Make the rules clear also. Like this is like mostly an SOS. This is like, hey, here's the clear ask. And you have to chime in. Do you know
I guess
what I mean?
my pitch that you will probably not be into is why not just make it a group chat that doesn't have to be an SOS only thing. Like I keep hearing that group chats are the new like bulletin board social media, that so many people are like not wanting to like converse online.
Yes. The reason
is all
is
these group chats, and I'm not a part of any group chat.
So this is the reason why you're pitching a group chat. Group chats are cool, but like if they're too general interest, I'm on like a couple dad WhatsApp chats basically. And I'm just like,
are they active? Because I've been on some dad groups and the dads never talk about anything.
They're hyperactive. It's too much. I keep missing WhatsApps because I've turned off my WhatsApp notifications.
Oh, you can just mute that.
Oh, I know.
Conversation.
That's what I should do, but I haven't done it. Anyway, hit us up if you think that's a good idea, or if you have ways to augment it, or like a good method for it. If you participate in group chats and have found them fulfilling in some way, let us know, because I think it could be cool to like have just like
how many people was a perfect size? Like 10?
It's less about the size to me and more about the specificity. Like it was important that I text LA directors because I only could get LA actors, right? And I needed people who were funny. So like, okay, the list of people who I can bug on a Saturday afternoon who know lots of funny actors in this demo, like not like FICOR, non-union, all of that stuff, like not too established. And also who like know I'm good for a favor. Do you know what I mean? Like that list gets shorter and shorter, but that makes the chat much more effective.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what if it's 10 LA-based comedy directors?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I texted you and Carlin about, costume designer.
Sure. Yeah.
In the same vein.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it's a franchise. Maybe there's a whole Just Shoot It community that can
just shoot it group chats.
Yeah. That could be cool.
Discord. I don't even know what people do.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
I'll just have my Claudbot, call your Claudbot on Telegram.
They do Discords, but then that's a whole other ecosystem that we have. Like you've got Slack, text, email, all that stuff. We don't want to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
WhatsApp.
I'm sure people have suggestions. Hit us up, justshootitpod@gmail.com if you want in on this and if you can help structure it in some way. And with that, let's talk.
We'll tell people about our Patreon. Speaking of friends, directors, country folks, and other people.
Should we make it Patreon specific?
Well,
that is a community management tool,
Yeah. I mean, I guess.
You don't want to make it pay to play. I don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I want everyone to bring something, be able to contribute something and get something out of it. But our Patreon, we do want our patrons regardless, because we love having you. We have. Is it okay to mention that some people from, talking about your WeFunder campaign came in and
sure. Yeah.
WeFunder.com/badfeeling movie.
Bad feeling. Just bad feeling.
Just bad feeling. WeFunder.com/badfeeling Matt's project. And so we appreciate the love. We appreciate people listening and helping out and being on the journey with us. And if you want to do that, even at a small level, you can go to patreon.com/justshootitpod. We love it. It's super helpful. And we appreciate it. So that's all we got to say about that.
That's it.
Now,
the original Mr. Burns.
But what's funny, my mom was actually elementary school and high school teacher for her entire career, like
cool.
during the
That's
height of
too.
like the 90s and early noughts, and just got it nonstop. And she
Yeah.
was Mrs. Burns. And they're like, oh, is your husband Mr. Burns?
Mhm.
And like a little kid fashion.
Jonathan, you will do that every once in a while, right?
You'll put your hands together.
Only
Yeah.
if it's excellent.
Yeah. There you go.
How long has that been going on? Is your dad's name Mr. Burns?
It is. And as is my grandfather's, funnily enough.
Well, so I'm working with Jonathan right now. I just worked with him on another job last week. We have a shoot next week, and we're in the middle of production. And him and I are stressed out. He's more stressed out than me because I feel like because everyone knows we have the podcast, that I have permission to be like, hey, I need to take an hour for the podcast. I'll call you later.
Mhm.
But since Jonathan does not have a podcast, he has to be like, yep, I'll get right back to you
Yeah,
on that
sure.
email as he
Yeah.
Just busy.
So we
sits.
understand if you text people in the middle of this conversation.
I'm trying
But we needed to record, and I mentioned to you, Matt, that Jonathan and I were scouting yesterday, and that we had this conversation about like what makes a good producer and what makes a good director. And I thought it was really interesting. And you're like, oh, I love Jonathan. Let's definitely have him on the podcast. And so he's on today. But when I mentioned it to Jonathan, he told me that you had told a story about him on the podcast
I did.
that made him really happy. Do you remember? Do you remember that story?
You know, what's funny is that I forgot, and then Jonathan and I worked together again later, and he was like, "Oh, thank you so much," and it jogged my memory. But it holds true. I always remembered the anecdote. I never remember what I say on the show. But
So
so
what was the
essentially,
anecdote?
Jonathan gives good client, right? Like you're really good at like at lunch when we're all like stuck, sitting around, and I'm like, oh, should I sit with the DP and the AD, or do I sit with agency and client? And Jonathan kept
And
the
to be
conversation.
clear, you would love to kind of have your own space and decompress without having to like put on a show.
Yeah. Oftentimes I like to go like call my wife and like check in, and then take a little second, and then go, tap dance a little bit, make sure everyone's feeling really good, and then also circle up with the crew to make sure that we have a good plan for the second half of the day, right? So there's a lot of stuff that happens at lunch. I wish it was more leisurely, honestly.
I know. What's the
Um,
deal? Hour lunch or half hour lunch? John, what's your take?
I always vote for an hour lunch if I can. And I take it's the old AD rule of thumb, because if you do a half hour lunch, it's truly a 45-minute because you have to get through last man. But if you call an hour, it kind of bakes that in and you save time on the back end. So hour lunch like buys you more time in your schedule, and then people tend to be like a little happier. And a lot of people like finish lunch and go start like getting their stuff organized, or like slowly ease back into it anyway. So I feel like it buys you a little time on paper.
It's a good tip. Good tip.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Matt. So you were saying
Well, yeah, basically, there's all sorts of different types of producers, and, many different versions of a great producer. But I was just struck by it. I think also because sometimes you're in the mood to like be social during lunch and kind of entertain them and keep them all in a good mood. But I certainly believe that in the world of commercials, that's a customer service sort of space, that the decision and the opinion of like how the shoot went it gets locked in by the end of the shoot day for sure, or how good the spot will be gets locked in at the end of the shoot day, I should say. So like whether the spot's actually going to be good or not, people's minds are made up well before that. And like
100%.
Things really start to cement around lunch. Are we on time? Is everyone feeling really good? Those sorts of things. And so it's nice to have an ally to be there to like make sure that people are chatty and laughing and having a nice time, and just in high spirits, and that isn't all on my shoulders. Not that it ever really is, but it's nice to know that you've got somebody who's very good at it.
right. So John, you don't have to entertain the clients at lunch because John is really good at it. And I think you used the term for that. What was it, John?
I want this like on my gravestone, and I remember these words so well, and I loved it. But you're like, this guy Jonathan Burns, he has next level small talk. Like, yes, I'll take it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Because we don't know each other that well yet, right? Like
I think this was our first shoot together.
It was our first shoot together, but I was referring to like we don't know the client, we don't know the agency. We've met them a few times, and now we're all having a big group lunch together. And, oh boy, I sure love the couscous from Mendocino Farms, only goes so far, right? So like...
It is really good.
It is good.
It's really good couscous. Usually where my conversation starts.
Yeah, you're like, is that saffron, turmeric? But, so just keeping the conversation moving is really helpful. It's really valuable, for sure.
You kind of have to, I just realized this now, but you kind of have to be a little bit of a foodie, maybe not like a super sophisticated one, to be a good producer, a commercial producer.
Just to talk about the lunch.
I mean, you have to make sure that there's good crafty, that the client dinner is at a good place. Actually, and that you can recommend stuff. I mean, I remember when I was working with a famous group way back in the day, they'd be like, Oren, did the client talk about like any wine or snacks or anything that they like? We'd love to like put that in there, send them like a little gift package with those things. So it takes it away. If you don't care about food, you're not going to be like, oh, the Gruyere is way better than the Brie today.
So true. And actually, like, just made me think of two things. Like, the client entertainment is such a good thing, is such an important thing, because you're kind of choosing the vibe that you're going to serve to these people. And to your point, like, it's these strangers who you are working very, very intimately and closely and long hours with for like a short burst of time, and then you go away, but you're trying to create these relationships to help everything go smoothly. And it's like, what are you going to serve to them? How are you going to make it work? And I always like to say, I look at my crew kind of like a recipe as well. And everyone is like a different seasoning. And it's like, how do I balance the flavors? The flavors? Who's bringing the heat? Who's bringing the sweet? And like, and I like looking at it like that.
It's funny. We were just talking, Jonathan, I think yesterday or the day before. When you're on a project and you're scouting in LA, you spend a lot of time with the producer. And then we also spent like 6 days in Seattle on 2 separate trips.
You spend all your time with them, and then when it's the shoot day, you never see them.
Yeah.
You see them at lunch. Right? Yeah.
I probably spent about 7 hours talking to Jonathan about the virtues of the Delta Amex.
I'm pretty sure you're paid by the word.
But I think
I should hope so.
One thing I said that I like about you is that there is a balance. There's some producers that just want easy to work with crew. A DP that's just happy with everything. Fast,
cheap. Has their own
If you
camera.
tell them no, they're like, no worries.
Yeah.
And you can have that with the production designer, with the costume, with makeup, and I feel like you are, of course, would love that, but you also appreciate someone that is talented and has good taste and is good at their job, which I think, to me, there's a production coordinator, PM, that is now just changed their title and is producing, but really is just kind of going through the checklist. And then there's the producer that's like very aware of what we're trying to build together from like, and not to get too highfalutin, but from like an artistic point of view, and that sometimes a certain crew member might be really nice, but they might be the wrong fit for this job, and that's, I think, kind of like a skill of a good producer. And you've been doing it for how long now? 15 years?
Not that long, actually, in the grand scheme of things. But I came into the industry. Yeah. So I've been in LA 6 months, guys. How am I doing? I moved to LA in 2017 after being in Japan almost 10 years. And so I lived another life.
9 years.
But I was in sales and finance, and it was skills that I thought led into producing really well. And so I came in a bit older than the average, new film grad, and kind of had my sight set in very early, like, I want to produce, I want to do production. And I came up through the production ladder and did the coordinator and the PM thing, and then quickly came up to producing because I was a little older, a little more experienced. And it just kind of, the sales side of it clicks, like the people side of it clicks.
Sure.
The small talk does. I mean, honestly, to me, wouldn't you agree, Matt, that the difference between like a PM and a producer is the small talk?
Yeah. There is that aspect of it. I remember once talking to a producer who referred to me as very client facing. And I think it's kind of the same thing, right? Like, there are gifted, producers who just don't have that way with people. And, a lot of your job is going to be saying no in a nice way, or showing them what they really like about the thing that you could pull off based off of their budget, right? Because agencies and clients come in with a lot of really big ideas that can be really cool that maybe are out of scope. And so sometimes you have to be the bad guy early on, especially if there's not like really a grounded agency producer on the other side who's kind of tempering those expectations. You can be stuck being the bad guy. And so I think that companies do need someone who understands all the logistical stuff for sure, but that also you can trust a person like Jonathan to like handle uncomfortable situations with some skill and grace, and everyone still has a nice time, right?
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. Sometimes you're the anger translator too, right? I'll be like, they're asking for twice as much stuff for half the money. Like, just tell them no. Yeah. And then you'll be like, I will tell them that like we have a different idea.
That's actually really good. See, you could do it, Oren.
Yeah. I think I'd be an okay producer. I don't know.
I think our egos are too big.
You produced a ton, Matt.
Yeah, I know. And I hate it because my ego is too big.
Well, so I guess just to get into the crux of what I thought was interesting, I told you some things I really like about producers, which, we talked a lot about the podcast, especially our episode with a different producer with Kelly. But I'd asked you what kind of traits you like in a director. And do you remember any of the things that you told me?
Yeah, I have a couple that I think really stuck out. And, coming into this, I was thinking about working with both of you and kind of your own personalities and your styles and what I really like. And I think it really
What makes me
exemplifies-
better than Oren?
Great. Now that we're done with that list, what makes
just cut a quick beep in the edit.
Yeah.
No, and because I think everyone is very individual. And I think like producers, like directors, like there's probably 100 different ways you could do it. And none of them is necessarily better than the other if you're all producing good success, right? And I think a lot of producing and directing is bringing your personal strengths and like what you're naturally good at to the table to serve the greater purpose of what we're all trying to achieve. And I think that, for me, I can small talk, I'll chat your ear off if I need to or whatever, right? So I was reflecting on that and like thinking about some of the stuff Oren and I talked about. And so this is kind of what I came up with. And since Matt got the bleep, I'm gonna give Matt the first go on this. Yeah. No, I was reflecting on it and, we've done a couple shoots so far. And you're obviously very experienced and talented, but I think as a producer, I love that you as a director are really good with client, and you kind of even just said it already. But beyond just being good with them, you're very communicative. And I remember specifically on these shoots, and a lot of my perspective is coming from the branded and the commercial side of the world. That's kind of where a lot of my experience has been. And so a lot of my time on set is I'm sitting in this video village with a client. It's this is their baby. We've been on it for a couple of weeks. They've been on it for a couple of months probably, right? And they're planning, they're getting budget, they're spending money, they're excited. It's their campaign. And so we're here to keep them happy. But you in between every setup, you would leave set, walk to where we were sitting and just check in and just be like, hey, how was that? This is what we just did. This is what we're going to do. Any questions, any concerns? And I'm used to doing that pretty solo, but you were you had a very good bedside manner with them. And I think the extension of that is also just realizing, at least on the branded side, yes, we bring in the production company and the agency and the director to elevate an idea and find and define and execute a vision and make something that's creative and memorable and amazing. But at the end of the day, we are a service industry and we're servicing a client who's bringing their budget and they want something. And so you need to understand that push and pull and where you can push on the creative to make it your own, but also where to listen and just understand that you're servicing your client and how to make sure that they're happy with the experience and what is being delivered to. So that was kind of a two-parter. And I think you're really good at that, Matt.
Well, I think also part of that is if you do have an idea or an agenda, conspiring with them, I think really when it works, it works. You know what I mean? It's all of our idea, no matter where it came from, but we're all trying to make it as good as possible. And as long as we're all pointed in the same direction, we have share that vision, then we're good to go. I think also sometimes it's not their baby. You know what I mean? I think once or twice, Jonathan, you and I it was real quick and they were kind of distracted. And so,
and they're looking to you to kind of solve it for them, right?
Yes,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think once or twice, Jonathan, you and I have been on jobs where people at the end were oh, this is good, actually.
It's so true.
Right? So
it's they finally showed up and
they're I get it now. And you're yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's nice when they give us the latitude to run with it and the trust to run with it and, create something good. But
yeah. That is a good first one. And I'm glad you started with Matt, because I do think, Matt and I have only done this podcast for 11 years, but we've almost never been on set together. So it's hard to know, but I do bet Matt is better at that stuff than I am. And yesterday I mentioned to Jonathan, kind of as a joke, that I'm a very complainy director, right? And it's all relative to all the directors he's worked with. And he was yeah, you're one of the complainier ones. And so I think for years I was kind of avoiding the client because I didn't want to come in and be man, that dolly move could have been a little bit better, but we got it. Let's move on. So I thought it's just
not
better
up to my standards, but I know it's up to yours.
I thought it was better just to not say anything. And I had a big explosion. It was during 2020, end of 2020. I shot this thing where the client was all on Zoom, and I didn't even check in with them at all because they were driving me crazy, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's better to not say anything than say something, contentious. But I do think the charm of the complaining director is like wearing off, and I should probably be a little more positive and check in. I mean, I do very much care about what the agency thinks, and I want them to like things,
But I wouldn't sell yourself short
yeah.
because I've been on many, like an agency or a client pitch call with you, and you do a very good job in there. And like sometimes pitching ideas that aren't even yours that you defend, but you do it really well.
That is my super weakness. What's the problem? What's the opposite of a superpower?
Yeah.
I'm really good at pitching ideas that we cannot execute on.
Sure. Yeah.
Client agency folks, please pretend you didn't hear that.
To shift it off of Oren and I a little bit, and just kind of to make it a little bit more general, and also make about me still as well, is I sometimes fear that I am like a little, like I don't want to come off as needy or unsure when I'm checking in with them. Is that something that you see in directors, or is there? Here's a better way to say it. What are the ways that directors can lose the confidence of the client?
And have you seen that?
Have you seen that? Yeah.
And what was the director's name?
My brain is just, I feel like I've blacked it all out.
Yeah. Right. But there must have been moments where like you're hearing like the things that we're scared of, the whispering of like, I don't know, or like someone steps in or,
I think what's funny, where my mind immediately went is I loved you coming in and doing that because you did not come off as needy or unsure. You always came in with this like calm, reassuring, like, hey, we've got this. I'm keeping you engaged in like what we're doing out there type of thing. And it was very engaging and very confident, right? I think if you as a director do not feel confident or positive, or like if you're feeling anxious about what's going on, kick the can to your producer. Let them deliver the bad news. You know what I mean? That's what I would say.
Great. Yeah,
we get to be the bad guys. We say no, like you were saying. And so if you're having a bad time, your ultimate responsibility is to deliver upon this vision that we've all been prepping. We've gathered crew, we've gathered resources. We're here on this day. You're here to like execute on that, right? And so don't add the client burden on top of that if you don't feel confident with it, if you don't feel good with it. Yeah, because it's just going to stress you out more. And people are smart. People are good at like sensing if someone's stressed or not having a good time or whatever. And then they take it and they run with it and make it maybe bigger than it actually even is. And yeah, no one wants that. Because like you said,
it reminds me of when Matt and I, when I was complaining about productions, and then Matt was like, yeah, it sounds like you don't have a good producer. And it was exactly for those types of things where I felt like I was carrying the whole load, and the producer, when I work with really amazing producers, they kind of take that burden of the relationship stress out of the equation, and I get to just figure out like, okay, where does this flower pot go, and how does this performance work? You mentioned prep fleetingly, and I'm going to use that as a segue. We talked a little bit about some things directors do in prep. I mean, I think like 80% of a director's job is done before the shoot day. What are kind of some of the different like good ways and not so good ways you've seen directors prep for shoots?
And just in fairness, I'm going to loop you in, and Oren, and this was already my plan, but you're one of the more complainy directors I know. No, and what I mean is you're stubborn and you're opinionated. And I mean those in very positive ways. And you come in with a vision. Like you really sink your teeth into whatever project we're doing. You put your mark on it. You put your vision on it. And you really help it evolve to what you see it as in a very positive way. And I think that as its soul is what a director does, is they see the vision and they try and like get everyone on board with their vision, right? And I think with that, like you're pretty decisive. And I, as a producer, love it when a director is decisive. And especially on the shoot day, but like you were saying in prep, and to me, I want to prep twice and shoot once, if that makes sense. Like, let's spend the time in prep. Let's think about it from all the different angles. Let's say I personally, I love talking through a situation and being like, okay, let's look at the possibilities, and I'll say the bad ones and immediately be like, no, we can't do that because of this. And like, I'll see the error, but it's nice for me to at least talk it out. So I love it. Let's explore all the ideas. Let's look at the angles. Like, what can we do? Even if it's too expensive, let's just talk about it to brainstorm, right? Spend all your time prepping. When we get to the shoot day, I personally like to be a little more prescriptive. Let's go in having a plan. Let's know what our end product is going to be. Like, this is what storyboards are for. This is what, boarding everything out, making a plan. Let's go in with a plan and let's shoot it. And of course, there's going to be wiggle room. You got to give room for performance and improvisation and this, that, and the other. But you should know like 90% like what you're going to do that day. And on the day, if there are changes, like directors need to make a choice, like make a decision. Clock is ticking. We're burning dollars. Daylight's going away and you don't get that back. And I've worked with some people in the past who just want to hum and haw and like, oh, what if we explore this thing that we didn't talk about, or even worse, that we did talk about, decide was a bad idea, but I'm going to bring it back up again.
Like on set, you're saying people are kind of trying to find things on set.
Finding things on set. And so I think as a director, if you can just be decisive and just really own what your vision is, and even if you don't, just have confidence in your own taste and your own style. And I think it's always good to ask for feedback and ask for other opinions. But in the end, like the director is leading the charge, right? Is leading the ship. And so directors got to direct. And so if you can be decisive and really just fight for your vision and fight for, your creative, then it'll be a better day.
Yeah. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but a thing that I've learned later in my career about decisiveness is that if it's a really hard decision, like between A and B, should she wear the dress or the skirt, or should we shoot it in the living room or in the dining room? If it's a hard decision to make, it means that they're both good and bad in certain ways, and you should just choose one. Like it's way more valuable to choose one than to over deliberate, especially when you have a crew of like 50 people waiting for you to decide.
Anecdotally, there's a little psychology trick. Sorry, real quick. If you're having a little bit of trouble making a choice, especially if it's an A or a B, there's a trick that in your mind mentally decide A. I've decided 100% we're going to go with A. And then just see how you react and see how your gut reacts to that decision. And it really like helps you tap into your subconscious and what you really want. And so if you decide, oh, we're going to go with the living room, and you're like, yeah, no, that feels good. Or you're like, oh, we're going to go with the skirt, and you're like, no, I still don't like it. Then like go for the other one. And then it can just help you like move through a decision and get past the paralysis.
Yeah.
I love that. So I think one of the great luxuries and privileges of doing so many commercials lately is the prep, right? Like being able to like have the time, the resources to really kind of dig in, find all that stuff. And I think through the podcast, I think we both have really kind of developed a pretty rigorous prep regimen. Are there things that you see in directors that they think are important that aren't actually important to you all, right?
Like from prep, like a prep point of view.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like sending out mood boards or something like that.
I send animatics and most of the time no one watches them or cares at all, And I know that they're essential to me, but I don't know if they are that to
I think they're so helpful to you for making them,
Yeah.
And you really find timing issues. But I have the same experience. No one really watches them.
No one cares. Yeah.
I think everyone does care. They're just like, don't comment on it. Like I love the animatic because it's the first time I like a plan and a prescription. I'm like, oh, I totally get what we're doing now. Like this is what we're making, right? Yeah, what's funny, it's usually not the problem of directors doing too much that's not helpful. It's maybe them like not engaging enough during prep.
What's an example of someone not engaging? You told me one yesterday. I'll just give you as a tee up, which is sometimes you said you've worked with directors that don't really talk to the cinematographer much before they get the set.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a good one. And I think to me, every position on set is important, 100%. No question there. But the ones that tend to get a little bit more prep or start a little bit early and help shape the plan are director, DP, production design, and then wardrobe, right? Like those are the four people that I talk to the earliest, right? And the director needs to be in touch with them, especially like DP is how is it going to look, and art is how's it going to look. And I've had directors that, again, maybe just lean on, or either checked out or too busy, or, sometimes don't get paid for prep or don't get enough prep or something like that. And, production companies pay your directors, they work hard.
Sure.
But yeah, just them not being checked in. And again, in the commercial world, not every commercial you shoot is going to be your magnum opus, and not everyone is going to be like a world turner. But for that, those weeks, that month that you're working on it, like it needs to be a priority. You need we work in an industry that's all about reputation and all about your special sauce, right? Especially for a director and your creative style and what you bring to the table. And part of that is, who are the keys that you're bringing on? How do you work with them? What is the plan that you're creating with this person? And if you're not adding that special sauce, like, why are we hiring you? And then it also just leads to a messier shoot day where you're like, oh, let's just find it on the day. And then you're 4 hours OT and behind and not getting what you need. And so make the animatics. Animatics are always great. And just rely with your crew. And also, like, it's such a collaborative industry. And like the special alchemy is when you get two people with maybe differing opinions and you like hit them together and then they make a new idea that's even better.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the beauty of it. So like rely on your crew, work with your crew, and just be engaged. That's what
it is interesting how some directors, like if they were making their passion project short film, that's a script that they wrote that they're financing themselves. Like there's no way, there's not a 1 in a million chance that they would not care
Not
which
talk to
dog
the
we
director.
cast in the scene.
But
But in a commercial sometimes, and I'm bringing this up because we have a dog and I've barely given opinions on it. But sometimes, the producer will just be like, well, I talked to the animal trainer, here's some options. And sometimes the director will just be like, yeah, just you choose, I mean, I've definitely been guilty of doing that with background actors. It's like, Oren, here's 100 photos. You also have storyboards due tomorrow, and you have this and locations, and we're doing the casting at 8 a.m. Which of these background actors do you want to be in the scene? And then you're like, I don't know, just choose 15, diverse actors. And then you get the 15 on set and you're like, God, I should have definitely chosen these people.
100%. And the one you were like, I like this one, and the rest you pick, that's the crazy one. That's the one with like the screenplay that they're showing everyone, and they're chain
walks
smoking
off
on
with
set.
a camera or something.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. No, and I was just gonna say with that, and like you are busy, and I think triaging your priorities is kind of part of it. And as a producer, I don't mind if you kick some stuff back to me, but a lot of times, like I'll bring it to you as like first right or refusal. Like, hey, this technically falls in your world. Do you have an opinion on it? And saying, hey, I don't have a strong opinion, like you choose, is totally acceptable to me. But I like hearing that, I guess. Or like, hey, I'm too busy. Like, if we need an answer right now, like just grab some type of thing. You know what I mean? Because if they're...
This probably plays out the most directly when it comes to hiring crew. When you're like, hey, do you have a costume designer you want us to hire, or do you want me to recommend someone?
Yeah. So that speaking of good things, that's the right thing to say. Hey, I've got a costume. Do you have someone you want to work with? If not, I have recommendations. That's perfect. Music to my ears. Sometimes.
What's the not good thing?
Sometimes you alluded to the four, pillars of the table, right? Your
like
DP,
the creative key members.
Your creative key members. DP, production designer, wardrobe, and who was the other? You had one more, and I guess in the director. Yeah. I would throw casting in there as well.
Yeah,
and editor,
storyboard artist. There's some other.
Yeah.
The list goes on because everyone's important.
Everyone's important, right, exactly. And sometimes, and I get it, but sometimes I just inherit one, right? It's a blind date, right, of any of those key members, and like oftentimes it's for a good reason, like, oh, we've got a really good working relationship with this person, or they're already vetted.
They're casting 5 things for us right now.
They're casting 5 things for us right now. So yeah, you can kind of amortize costs, and that's all okay. But I know that I am weird. I will recommend a sound person. I have a short list. Do you know what I mean? And like, I know that's pretty uncommon, and sometimes you're just like, okay, great. But so I guess I'm curious from your side of the table, Jonathan, is that sort of like, sometimes I think I like to step in on things that kind of aren't the director's job, because big picture, I like to run a set a certain way, and I know that these people do it the way I like to do it,
Mix your spices.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What, have you encountered that in other circumstances? I don't think I've forced a sound person on you yet, but that's because actually, yeah. And also, you guys work with good sound people, but you know what I mean. Like we kind of, there's certainly a push and pull,
Yeah, I think again in my mind, to me, I come at it and it's very much like a collaborative, creative problem solving situation. And I'm, as the producer, I'm in the middle and I'm keeping everyone flowing forward, and I'm hearing your vision and then, maybe the client vision, making sure those are married and just keeping everyone moving forward. And so for me personally, any rec or request that a director has, like I'm going to do my best to try and honor it from the get-go. And that's not saying that I'm going to hire your person 100% of the time, but I'm going to at least take it in consideration. You know what I mean? And so if you ever had a sound rec, I would totally take it, because again, it's about making your vision. And if they have their special sauce that they bring to, the running the set, and it creates that alchemy better, like all for it. And I like expanding my own Rolodex with good people. And if someone's getting wrecked, they're usually the people I want to work with too.
Yeah. I do want to point out what's unique about Jonathan and our relationship with him is that you are a full-time employee at Sawhorse Productions right now. And so with freelance producers, a lot of times Matt and I will be involved in saying, oh, this is a producer I like, let's get them on. And so we are a little bit their client, like if I work with a producer and have a really bad experience with them, I will probably tell, or like with art class, I work with a lot of freelance producers. I'll be like, they're not my favorite producer. Can we hire someone else? And when you work with a company that basically has staff producers and you have to use them, a lot of times those producers they want to keep their job. So they're serving the head of production and owners of the company much more than the director. And so a lot of times they're like, yeah, sorry, this is the way we do it. This is the way, sorry, we just don't have the budget. And I think you are, of all the full-time producers I've worked with, you're probably one of the best in terms of trying to see things from the director's point of view and not just being like the company man, every time. And that is kind of like a hard thing and that you do well. So I'm just giving you a compliment with no question here. Yeah. But I did want to ask you, I do have a different question, which is kind of related to what Matt asked, but like, what are some things that directors do that they think are important that you don't think are important? Is that all right? And I mean, maybe
give him a second. You've rolled your eyes internally once or twice upon it. We're not asking for you to name names. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? There's a little bit of like, God, okay, sure, anamorphic lenses. It's a social piece. Or,
Oren demanding name tags.
Yeah. Oren didn't. That's a good one. Yeah, demanding name tags for sure.
And I don't think we ever got those name tags. No, we did.
We did. But they were written in like light pencil that was unreadable if you're more than 1 inch away from its chest.
But I thought the name tags were a great thing. Yeah, I think to generalize, I'm definitely personally a very big picture person. And I always want to start with the big picture, like what are we trying to achieve? And then you build your details from there, right? And sometimes, again, directors based on their personal style, they'll get so hung up on one microscopic little detail. And it's like you were saying, like that lamp in the corner of the house that we're showing for like only 1 second in this room and then we're moving on elsewhere. Like I'm going to spend like 2 days talking about this lamp. And it's like, okay, like I want you to have your lamp, but like we have this, and this on our to-do list and we need to make decisions on this. But they'll just like fixate too much on the wrong things, I guess, if that makes sense. And I think it's important to deliver your vision, but also just take a step back, see the big picture and like, what's the ultimate goal that we're also pushing for? And I think kind of, anamorphic lens on a camera, like, yeah, if we can do it, but are we blowing our entire lighting budget for that? Do we get one less light because of that or something? Or like, look at the big picture to achieve the most good, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's fascinating. And I think both our opinions have evolved over the years. I think Oren and I used to both have a reputation for being easy to work with, like production friendly, right? And then at a certain point, like if you say yes to every compromise or, all the edges get sanded off, all of a sudden you're just people don't think you're a good director.
Your reel is just like mushy.
Yeah. It's just all kind of bland and soft. And so I think figuring out what's important to you, right, is the main job of a director, honestly. Right? Like, is it about the lamp or is it not? Right? And sometimes you have the resources to make the lamp awesome and the rest of the spot awesome. And every single detail becomes, how great this piece is. And sometimes you don't have budget to talk about the lamp. Right?
Right.
And I think we're always just in that position of wondering, are we compromising to make things better or are we compromising to make things easier? Right?
And that's an important question. And I think,
that keeps me up at night.
It's funny. I think like the way my thought process has evolved, and I don't know if other people, especially producers, agree with this, on what being easy to work with director is.
Sorry.
I'm the only one with a dog here. Who's that? Do you have a dog, John?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, right.
Apparently the mailman's here right now.
Sure.
Yeah. I think I used to think easy to work with was saying like, sure, we'll make that work. Sure, we'll do it. Yeah, okay, we'll do it. And now I think being easy to work with is, well, this is my opinion. Please let me sell it to everyone. Like I'll sell this through. We need more money for this. Let me pitch why and show the visual, things. Like let's get on a call. Let me show the locations and explain to them why this location is better than the one that they want. Why this cast member is better than the one that they want. And so to me, like, it maybe is like still more abrasive to work with, but I think if I was a producer and I had a director that was like, hey, not only do I disagree with the client and I want you to go back and tell them, but let me talk to the client and kind of present to them my point of view and how it fits in with the vision, why it's overall better for the product that we're making.
Has that ever come across as too thirsty, like too desperate or too aggressive?
You're asking me or Jonathan?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I lost a lot. Like, Jonathan and I worked recently on something where I felt like the casting, I was really wanted it to go in a different direction. And actually but another project where I wanted the kind of edit to go in a different direction. And I pushed really hard and I showed them like, look at this and this and this. Yesterday I was even like AI generating couple photos to show Jonathan like who would look better together. But if they say no, then I just say, okay. And sometimes like on one of these jobs, like we'll do what the client wants. And on the other job, I will segment the edit to the director's cut and the client cut.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, we're all aligned and think that agree on what the best way forward is.
Yeah.
So I do accept their decision as final, but it's kind of like, being in court and arguing your case.
Sure.
I really respect that you do that, to be honest. And I think in my path as a producer, it's actually taken me time to learn the lesson. Like, are we compromising because it's better for the project, or are we compromising because it's easy? And I think coming up in production, you're juggling so much. A lot of times you're like, what's easy? What can I achieve? What's like lowest risk that I can think the least about? And I think you said earlier in the podcast even was like kind of the difference between like a PM that just stepped up versus a bit more of an experienced producer is like, are you seeing like the ultimate goal, or are you just going down a checklist? And I think, and I agree that, again, especially in the commercial and branded world, like we're selling cool, right? Like we get more work because we sell something that's cool or fun or interesting or, makes people laugh or talk about it later or anything like that. And if you compromise on that, then like, what are we even doing here? And so I think, but just pick the right fights and work with your producer to fight back in an appropriate way. And I think Oren's always very, again, stubborn and opinionated in the best of ways. And like, you want to fight for your ideas. And I respect that so much. And you're like, get me on this call. Let me pitch my idea.
Let me get in there. I think it's funny because over the years, we've known Sawhorse for so long that I feel like the guardrails are quite clear. I'm working with a company recently where it's like, hey, I'd love to see the edit. And it's just crickets. Do you know what I mean?
Did we already?
yeah, kind of. Like, I didn't even get a response back. You know what I mean? First, I was like, how's the edit going? And they were like, it's really good. And I was like, can I see it? And then that's crickets.
Yeah.
So I wonder, there are things, this probably isn't a fair question, but like stuff that people are pushing for that you're just like, hey, no, we just don't do it that way here.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it's funny you bring up the edit because I have, I came up as a freelance producer for a long time before I've landed at Sawhorse as well. So I've seen it done a multitude of different ways. And having the director part of the edit is like such a divisive issue somehow, where it feels so straightforward to me. I'm like, they ideated and shot the idea, have them give their opinion on the edit, and like anywhere else, like in
or
feature
let me just
world,
show you what you're aiming for.
Exactly.
Like, this is how I shot it. This is how I see it. I'm not saying there's not room for improvement, but like, let me show you what my plan was at least. Especially since you ignored the animatic.
Right. But if you have all these creative directors and producers, everyone can go in and like leave a note on the frame IO, just like give the director a chance to like leave a note on the frame IO even. Like, it's that easy. And
Sawhorse is good at that. And I feel like they're one of the companies that really appreciates like input. Like, I think they'll be like, you want to come in, you want to sit down, you want to do some stuff, but there's still a deadline, which is the hard thing.
Sure.
The deadline is always the hardest thing.
Yeah. It's kind of a weird question. I don't know if there's a good answer to it, but I find that in prep, me as a director, I get into Google, I make a lot of Google slide decks. I pull a lot of images, references, I make GIFs, I do test videos, I do mock-ups. And I think probably just from a selfish point of view, I'm like, oh, this must be like a very helpful thing for a project. A director that's good at Google Slides or Canva or Midjourney or, whatever, Photoshop. Do you feel like that kind of knowing the computer tools is like a important thing for a director, or just kind of every director kind of has their own way into it?
Has their own way, but just like, it's 2026. If you can't like use your Gmail or a calendar or a spreadsheet, like it just makes things that much more difficult. You know what I mean?
Well, what about though? I think there's the obvious required tools, right? And then like Oren's better at Photoshop than probably most directors I know, right? Like,
I agree.
Or like I'll get into a Google Slides deck and like I speak creative director, like I can get in there, you know what I mean, in a way that like I don't think everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
And that's actually kind of like, oh, I wonder if I'm like not crossing a line, but like I'm doing someone else's job a little bit. You know what I mean? Because I want it to be done the way I want it to be done.
Totally.
But let's focus on like the
skills,
the different ways that people can contribute, right? So like I think we talk a lot about the technical because I think we're both pretty technical people, but like what are the other ways that people step in with their skill set that you don't always see in everyone, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I work with some older directors and AD specifically. I immediately went with this, who still likes to fully print everything out, like make a print board, and will actually do little hand-drawn sketches, and that's what makes sense to them. And I think whether it's technical or lo-fi or whatever, kind of what a lot of this boils down to is it's communicating your vision in a way that's easily digestible by whoever else is on this project. And yes, it may be stepping on someone's toes, but again, they're bringing you in to bring your vision and your actualization. And so if you're good at going in the deck and like showing exactly how you want to do it, or if you're good at making an animatic or going in Figma, or if you like to, you know, do your own storyboards or even just work with a storyboard artist or whatever, I think whatever you can do to, in a visual manner, show what it is that you're trying to achieve makes it more digestible and makes it more sellable to anyone else, especially if you're pitching an idea that maybe not everyone's not on board. And so I think for me personally, I will never be upset if a director is like, hey, I made this very detailed visual example of what I want to achieve. I'm like, that's amazing. Thank you.
Well, let's flip it. Are there instances where you're like, God, I wish that they would do this thing? You know, I've seen
just send me some references for what this is supposed to look like. The client keeps asking.
Or whatever that may be. Yeah.
I think it kind of ties into kind of the points I made before, is like be opinionated and be decisive. And if you have an idea for something, like give us a reference for it. Like even if it's just a Google image or a shot deck, like just pull an image and be like, hey, this is what's inspiring me. This is what's going on in my head. Because if it's in your head, that's great, but everyone else needs to be able to see it, and everyone else needs to be on board with that. So even if you aren't necessarily the most technically proficient, like I personally am not, I couldn't photo myself out of a paper bag.
It's pretty easy nowadays. It's like,
just a remove tool.
Let me ask you how to do it, and like you give me a step by step. But it's just finding out where, again, there's 10 different ways to do it the same way. And it's just like, what are you good at? What's easy for you to communicate your vision? Just because it is a team collaborative effort. And if you're not pulling everyone into your vision and your world, then I feel like you need to maybe improve upon that. And one other thing is, as simple as also, I've had some directors fight me on just making a simple shot list, even if it's nothing more, just like a Word doc with bullet points of just your plan going in, even if it's rough, even if it's whatever, just make a shot list, because it makes you sit down and reflect on what we're going to do. It makes you have to have a conversation with the DP. It makes you really need to understand the creative, and then also share that idea with everyone else so that we can all be on the same page moving forward. Like, just make your shot list. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I think a lot of baby directors get like offended that have only done their own work, you know? They're like, oh, why do you need a shot list? You don't trust me? You know?
Like, no, we need to build a schedule. That's what we need.
Literally.
I had one last question for me, which is like, can you think of a time, we talked about how important prep is, and you like people that know exactly what their plan is when they get to set. But can you think of a time when you lost a location, or the weather changed, or an actor didn't show up, and a director had to like completely pivot on a shoot, and like a good thing that they did or a bad thing that they did? Have you ever had a panicking director that's like, this is all gone to shit, or a director that's like, okay, this is a plan, new deal?
I've had panicky directors on good shoots and confident directors on bad shit, and it all intermixes. I'm trying to think of like a really good story, because I've definitely had that happen. I'll do a music video like once every couple of years and then remember why I don't pursue those as often. But I've definitely had artists who are just like, nope, I'm not showing up today. And you're like, well, we're all here.
Isn't there there's like a famous music video, right? Where the artist didn't show up and they still shot.
Like shot it like,
I forget what it was, like a rap video or something.
I think we've talked about it on the show before.
Have you had that, Matt, where you just lost the location or an actor didn't show up?
Yeah, and I also had a music video where everybody got too stoned, like because I hadn't done too many music videos, and they were like, "Hey, like we're feeling a little awkward. Is it okay if we like party a little bit?" And I was like, "Sure, whatever it takes. It's fine, whatever." And then we shot the scene, and we had a lot more to shoot. And I remember the bassist just being like, "I gotta chill here for a while. Like I can't get up."
That is rough.
Yeah. I think I think that I haven't had like a producer that wasn't me lose the location. Do you know what I mean? Like most of the time, because the resources are more ample and like, like you were joking about, the reason you don't like to do music videos. It's like, yeah, sure, artists can be tricky or whatever. We're really talking about budgets. We're talking about resources. So if you have the people and the money to pay for a good location well in advance and negotiate it and sign contracts and all that stuff, the likelihood that it's going to fall through is pretty darn low. Do you know what I mean? Like Jonathan, have you like as like on a commercial, have you lost a location with not enough time to turn something else around? Like not really, right?
Not really. Not by the time that we've like, hey, we want to lock this. Hey, we want to sign an agreement with you. Hey, we want to make a plan.
Because thousands of dollars are on the line. It's not like, oh, my friend is going to let us into the back of this electronics store for an hour to shoot a video or something.
Yeah, exactly. And there's usually language baked into the contract that if they do break it, they owe us money or something.
Sure.
So no one wants to do that. I think what you're going, but one thing that a memory that your question spurred is a music video, not to, say against it, but it was a small to medium artist who had a very large A-lister who was just going to do kind of a half-day cameo in the music video. And it was actually, the video had minor brand sponsorship. And so we had some money. It was over $1 million for like a one-day shoot. We were doing like video.
Budget.
Yeah. It was like, we were doing full volume stage. We had 3 stages, 3 sound stages at this campus rented out for different sets. And we were going through it all, and a lot of time and energy and prep put into it. The smaller artist was super stoked because it was going to be like a big video for him. The cameo artist let us know at his call time that he was going to be 3 hours late.
Could be worse.
Well, as long as they show up in 3 hours.
Yeah, sure.
I think ended up showing up 4 hours late, went to his, moho dressing room and got all his writer stuff, stayed in there for way too long, and then came out, a little inebriated, did one scene and said, okay, that's it, I'm wrapped, and left. And that's like,
I love it when talent's like, and that's a wrap. You're like, what?
And so that was definitely a bit of a like scrambly moment, like for the producing team and for the director as well. And we basically had to on the fly rewrite the script and basically be like, we got a little bit more with this cameo guy, but we had to pick and choose where we were going to use him and then like how we were going to fill the gaps without him. And so I think, and it was stressful, and I think everyone was kind of eyes wide open. So everyone was like, well, this sucks, but it is what it is. It happens, I guess, was kind of the attitude. But I think everyone was able to really come together with the director, the AD, the art department, like what sets are done, what were we planning to shoot later, like how can we rearrange it, how can we remove this guy and have it not feel felt. And I think, again, I personally love big picture problem solving, creative problem solving, like how do we make the best version of this with the resources at hand. And it ended up being like a really cool video.
I think we were joking about music videos, but just for people who are like, why are music videos hard?
Yeah.
Contextually, there's a couple things, right? And I think your story highlights the perfect storm, right? Back in the day, it used to be that the record company and the artist would split the budget 50-50, right? So if it was $1 million video, the band was spending $500,000 out of their advance or whatever, however it worked out, right? So it's their money to lose. So if the video is not good, there were big high stakes, right? It was also back when people spent money on music, which is changing again, right? But like now artists make their money touring rather than selling records. So there's that. But it's interesting that you said that like sponsorship money, right? So whatever brand steps in to give, the lion's share of the money at this point, that's money that like feels magical, feels like it's out of nowhere. And like, you're going to get a shot of whatever beverage it was or whatever. I have no idea. I'm not in that world. Right. So like that money's already there. And then also this cameo, They have even less skin in the game. It's not their career that's going to explode. They're lending their image to somebody else. So those are all of the obvious reasons why things could end up. But then also like artists, I think they're like sometimes trained to like being late creates a little bit of mystique or a little bit of cool. We're supposed to like not care.
Fashionably late.
Fashionably late, exactly. And it's like
just like me, Jonathan.
You're so mysterious.
Yeah. But to bring it back to not defending, I don't know, Justin Bieber, whoever this mystery person is. That's just a guess. That's not right, is it?
No.
Okay, good.
Dude, Bieber wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't think he would. Not.
I have no
He's
idea.
punctual. He's 10 minutes early for sure.
Good. Yeah, that's great. I think what Oren and I are really, maybe I shouldn't speak for you, Oren, but there's a part of me that wants to be like, oh, because we don't see the other directors and how they prep and all the stuff they do. I want to come in and people will be like, oh, wow, Matt's got the secret sauce that's not just vision and point of view and creativity, but also like method that makes me a cut above. Do you know
also
what I mean?
like leadership skills where whether things are going according to plan or not according to plan, you can still steer the ship.
Yeah, but like there's a part of me that wants to be like, well, they booked in low and they're never going to want to go back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we want to hear that other directors are either good at prepping or good at winging it, but are not good at both. And we,
I guess I'm saying I want to be great at all of the things, better than everyone else on everything.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
I think you're both
perfect.
phenomenal directors. I would
there we
take
go.
either of you either to any.
Let's just hook it to my vein. But so I think that's the root of this question is just like where are the stumbling blocks for people? You know what I mean?
For a second, I'm gonna just it made me think of something else. Oren and I were chatting about just the idea of mentorship and how phenomenal it can be and how disappointing that directors don't really get to tap into it as much as a lot of other positions on set. I was saying, again,
especially in the commercial world.
Especially in the commercial world. I was lucky enough that I've had a few phenomenal mentors in my life who really helped me level up my game. And I would not be, working on the projects or doing the stuff I am today without them. And it's easier in the production vertical if you're coordinator PM and you're sitting in every
I think in every other
call. Yeah.
I think every other vertical, right? Like I think art has a clear ladder, camera has a clear ladder, sound has like everybody kind of gets to mentor each other except for us, which is honestly part of why I think the podcast is valuable,
Yeah.
And the thing about directing, because so much of the work is before you're on set, like even if you had a shadow on set, it would be way more valuable for them to actually be in the pitch call, in the briefing call, and hey, we just lost the location, what should we do call? Because that's when you're actually doing like most of the directing. Yeah. But we don't,
or the brainstorming
have you ever,
sessions, right?
Sure.
Like why are you making the choices you're making?
Matt is like, I was telling Jonathan, I'm jealous of people that have come from the agency side to the directing side, because you've done some agency side stuff too. You get to see how other directors do that. You even were telling me the other day about a director, like how they, we're talking about locations or casting or something. And I've never been on another call with another director pitching, or briefing or leading a meeting. I mean, at least not in the last like 10 years. And I am jealous of people that get to see that. And so if you want to be mentored by a great director, Matt is available. Just email him at justshootitpod@gmail.com.
I have been trying to get shadows onto set lately, and it's been weirdly hard, actually. I think like there's a liability issue and stuff like that. So,
and I feel like, because I've had that happen before. I've had been like, hey, I have a friend or a niece or, this new grad who I think is really sharp and I want them just to come on set. You don't have to pay them. Just let them show up and they're going to hang out. And like my first reaction is yes. And then they're like, liability, they're not covered by our worurers' comp. If they break something, if they do anything, like it becomes this issue. So no, just flat no. And I'm like, that's so disappointing. It's like, and I get the reason for it, but I'm like, there should be a workaround somehow. I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah. And it is interesting. We had the shoot that Jonathan and I just did. We had like a famous baseball player with us, and my friend who happens to live close to Seattle was a huge fan of his. And I was like, dude, come to set. And Jonathan was like, does he? And I kind of as a joke was like, hey, maybe he could just be like his handler. And Jonathan was like, does he want to be? Like, it's fine with me. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So he kind of got to be on set. And I told him like right at the beginning, I'm like, just so you know, being on set is like the most exciting thing for the first 20 minutes, and then it is the most boring thing you've ever experienced. And lo and behold, at lunch, when we lost our celebrity baseball player, he's like, you need me for anything, or should I just go to my room and watch some TV? I was like, yeah, you can go. The fact that you've been here for like 6 hours is already.
It was a fast, like 8 locations and just
it's kind of today that our editor, I don't think you were on that call, Jonathan, but our editor's like, wait, you shot this all in one day? I was like, drone shots, everything.
That's
kind of been everyone's great.
It was like 10 locations. Yeah.
I feel like also we producers and directors get to be in the eye of the storm. Whereas, for better or worse, every other department has like downtime and ups and downs. And so I know plenty of departments that are like pretty bored most of the time on set, right? Like hair and makeup's an easy example. It's like, okay, like you're busy in the beginning and then you're wrapping out, and kind of in between, like maybe after lunch you're busy, but like there's a lot of time where you're just kind of like making sure everyone looks fine and like stepping in for looks, but it's kind of boring. And we're never ever bored, for better or worse.
You know what? I feel like there was a time where every hair and makeup artist I worked with was like at the monitor next to me, just making sure everyone looks good and stepping in. And I feel like maybe it's just due to schedule or conditions or how much room there is at Video Village or whatever. But I feel like a lot of times now I'm like, I haven't seen the makeup artist at all, today.
I don't know what, there was a bit of a shift and I don't know why. And the good ones, like the ones I like to hire, are keeping an eye on monitor set or something and do step in, but there's like less of an expectation for that now or something.
I wish they were watching, because I'm bad at that. That's like it's like if someone has to be drenched in sweat for me to be like, hey, we should get looks in. Do you know what I mean?
You also want it to be, it's so not fair, because we'll give lighting 20 minutes and we'll give art 20 minutes, but we'll never give like hair and makeup 20 minutes. So I want, if like, oh, there's a flyaway hair, I want them to just be right there, not like having to run back to get their stuff.
Totally.
Maybe I should go into the hair and makeup area in the morning and say, hey, it would be great to have you by the monitor. Don't ever feel like you're in the way,
Yeah. I think that's great. And that goes back to my point of like, oh, that's part of why I like to recommend certain people. Like I just met a makeup artist yesterday that I was like, oh, I made a point to put them on the list.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And for my favorite crew members in general, they really just understand and when I say it, I'm speaking of department heads a lot of times who are looking after their vertical or whatever, but they just get the assignment.
I've got a couple favorite like art assistants. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to set like there's you especially if you work with the same people over and over again, you're like, oh, I'm so happy to see you.
Totally. Same actually. I have a lot of favorite prop masters and like prop assistants.
Yeah. They're client facing. It's important. You got to be quick. You got to be prepared. Yeah.
But yeah, these favorite people, I think the common denominator is they just really get the assignment and they understand their vertical and they understand like what they're responsible for, when and where they need to be paying attention, and they're on it before I need to ask them. And it's like, that's literally why I'm hiring you. I want you to run your department and come to me with any questions or concerns, but otherwise just run it.
Absolutely. Jonathan, have you ever thought about television? Have we talked about TV?
I don't believe in TVs.
You remind me of a TV person in that way. Do you know what I mean? Like some people, I think, like commercials and branded short-term stuff is really fun because it's like every day's a new adventure, and you're like jumping from job to job. You never get bored. It's always a new challenge. And that's true in TV as well. But there is something a little bit more architectural about it. It's like, we're going to build a season of television. So I really have to line everything up perfectly and pay close attention to building out departments that really understand the assignment, basically, because we're going to be stuck with them for months.
100%. And I've been adjacent. I haven't done proper broadcast television, but I was in esports for like a year where I was doing like full seasons with one league and like thinking of the architecture. And then for about 2.5 years, I produced like an ETV style show where it was like, these are the top 5 new movies you should watch that we recommend. And I never know what
show
to
up early
that.
for Maria Menounos, right?
Literally.
Oh, what?
She was
really?
our star. Yeah.
Oh, incredible.
It was
an icon. An icon.
She was delightful to work with. Such a pro. Like knew exactly what she wanted, and she was always
Was it for Nuvi?
No, it was called Roku Recommends.
Okay, great.
Roku, and it was like, these are the top 5 new movies you can watch for free on your Roku, brought to you by Walmart.
Maria Menounos, for people who don't recognize the name, she's the woman who will tell you what movies to watch on like before I think it's AMC or maybe it's Regal. I think it's Regal. Anyway,
AMC does it too, I think.
does it just? Yeah, she's been on TV and YouTube and gas station monitors. You know,
she does a lot
forever.
of Lifetime as well. And
But anyway, truly an icon.
She's great. She was lovely.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, I know I told you half an hour. Now we're at an hour and 5 minutes. So we will just keep you on for one more second. Are you cool with Well, first of all, is there a way people can follow you online?
Yeah. Well, how can people keep track of all the cool things you were making?
Yeah, for someone that like creates a lot of social content, I do not engage as much. Please follow me. I am on Instagram as jburnsfilm, JBURNSFILM, just freshly updated. And I'm in the process. It's under construction.
Okay. I think I tagged you in a post today. Okay, good. Okay, great.
It was literally right after that post. I was like, I should update my tag.
Oh, great. Cool, good.
The old one was like, it was like an old high school moniker. Yeah. So please feel free to follow. I'm trying to get better at it. I'd like it to be more of a calling card for myself. And I'm in the process of renovating.
Nice. Do you have a minute to stay with us for an unpaid endorsement?
An unpaid endorsement, yes.
Cool.
Unpaid endorsements.
So my unpaid endorsement, I'm on a real stationery and like office supply kick. This is an Italian stapler. It's a Clizia 97. And it is, you hand staple it like this, and it is one of the nicest things I've ever owned. This is my forever stapler. The action of stapling is so pleasant. I wish I had more things to staple. The only downside is that it doesn't take standard issue staples because it's a little thinner. So you have to get these kind of smaller Italian staples.
They're beautiful in Italian.
Yeah. So they're a little bit more narrow. They're Punti 76 size staples. But now with the internet, you can get, all your office supplies you can get on the internet. So who cares? American staples, Italian staples, tomato. This thing is freaking great. It's a Clizia 97. I'll bring it over, Oren. You'll try it and you'll be like, oh yeah, it is nice.
I do believe you, and it does actually look cool.
And it's
potentially even better than your last endorsement, which I kid you not, Jonathan, were paper clips from Italy also.
Italian paper clips.
So
I have them right here.
He's setting the bar very high for you.
Yeah.
You are. And then I get it though. There's that beautiful one in, what is it, Paper Source in Highland Park or something, has all the Japanese
Paper
stationery.
Source. Oh yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. I got my pencil brand, Blackwings.
I love it. Do you have a pen like number size?
I'm a Pilot V5 guy, but I've been V5 basically my whole life. Like since high school, I bought this pen. I get a box for myself, or my wife gets them for me every year. I'll take a V7 too. So a touch wider, a little inkier too.
I've settled on V7. V5 5 is a little too narrow. 1 is just like it's my skin to use.
Yeah. It's insane.
7 is happy medium.
You ever use a micron, like a micron 0.5? They're like more. It's more like a marker sort of sensation.
Okay.
So like the flow is a little tricky, but like it's quite precise if you're doing cross hatching and stuff.
And I was in Japan. I actually liked 0.5 if I was writing like kanji because all the strokes very precisely, but it doesn't work with my English lettering as well. I feel.
I see. Interesting. All right. Well, Jonathan, what you got, buddy?
So I wasn't aware of the format coming in, and Oren's like, something interesting, you've read a book, or I'm like, okay, how do I sound intellectual and cool? But the first thing that popped in my mind that I'm going to go with is I made a TikTok recipe that I'm obsessed with and turned out really good.
Awesome.
Everyone's probably seen it. I did the lemon posset or posset, Posset. Probably seen the images where it's like a lemon cut in half and you have the rind, but inside it is like a pudding or creme. It's a dessert. It was, we were having friends for dinner. We needed to make something, have a lemon tree. I'm like, I'm just going to make it. I'm going to try it. 3 ingredients. You can make it. It only takes like 30 minutes of cooking and then you just let it chill for 2 hours. And it made the silkiest, smooth, like sweetest, nicest custard pudding with a nice little lemony tang in the corners of your cheek. It was delightful. It was so good and easy. I made it 2 nights in a row.
And what are the ingredients?
So it's heavy cream. You just boil heavy cream and sugar. You bring it to a boil, let it boil for 5 minutes, take it off the heat, add a little bit of lemon juice, and then you just chill it for 2 hours and you put it in like a little ramekin. We ended up serving it in martini glasses. With like a little twist of lemon on the top as a garnish. Is nice. But
wait, did you have a dinner party or was it just for you two?
Just we had another couple over for dinner.
Okay.
Oren's like, don't do that for yourself. You're not eating, custard out of a martini glass in your pajamas.
No, just the other
But
day
you
I was picking my daughter up from her friend's house, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're having some friends over for lunch. The dad is going to make pesto pasta for."
Mhm.
And I was like, went home and I was like, "Babe, why don't we ever just like invite friends over for lunch on the weekend and like just sit down and drink wine while the kids are playing and just like Italian countryside style, like literati." And she's like, "Cause you hate cooking and I hate cooking. So what are we gonna?" I'm like, "I don't know. We can order in food." But I just like, I have this fantasy of just like having friends probably around our age that like to talk about like the things I don't talk about on the podcast, like politics and, parenting theories and whatever else we want to talk about. And just like, chill. I don't know. I need to do that more.
Yeah. Oren goes on vacation in order to do that. And I feel like you're just realizing, you don't actually have to be at a resort poolside in order to pull that off.
You could just have friends over for lunch on the weekend or for dinner during the week. I don't know. I'm very,
What's funny, just
clearly I'm dissatisfied with my social life. Sorry, go on.
Just going back to the cooking, like I think I'm a okay cook, not an amazing one, but I like it. And for me, like I'm not an artist or a photographer and I work with a lot of creative people, but cooking always felt like a creative outlet for me and like playing around with it. And one of my favorite things is just invite people over and feed them. And there's just like something so satisfying with that. And you sit around and chat and it's really nice.
Speaking of TikToks, I saw one not that long ago where the woman, her thesis was realizing that entertaining was her hobby. And I was like, oh, yeah, because we like to entertain less dinner parties and more kind of larger parties. But like the fun and the joy and the creativity of hospitality is something that I don't think people have been practicing for a long time, but we don't put a fine point on it. We don't say, hey, this is a thing I like to do as an interest and as a hobby, the same way some people like football or racing cars or whatever the thing that is that they do. Hospitality is one of those things, and it's just as valid as all that other stuff and is creative and fun. And not surprising that a producer is also hospitable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. He gives amazing small talk.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
Well, mine, I guess I'm just going to ride the Jonathan train real quick. I also made a recipe, not from TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but from Instagram. It seemed so easy. It seemed kind of delicious and it seemed healthy. It is 2 bananas, 2 eggs, a cup of peanut butter, a cup of blueberries, mixed all together, put into a muffin tin and baked. And I was like, done. Let's do it. It was pretty
gross.
But what I did find, there's this woman on Instagram. It's funny how just people like make careers off of reviewing other people's careers and reviewing other people. But there's this woman, her name is GQ Jordan Nutrition on Instagram. I think she's Australian or something. But she takes viral recipes, tries them out, rates them, and also like modifies them. And she took this recipe and she added some baking soda to it, some maple and some oats to give it some structure. And so I have not tried it yet, but I'm very excited because it feels like this perfect kind of like afternoon muffin that has a lot of protein and is not that bad for you.
I think that you need to just shift. Don't call it a muffin is the thing. And in the same way that people often do that with like pancakes, if you're expecting something fluffy and light and airy, you're going to be disappointed because the things that make things fluffy and light and airy are flour and then like some sort of activator, some sort of leavening and fat, right? The things that you're trying to avoid, right? The delicious
so she
things,
put in
right?
baking soda and oats and maple syrup.
Yeah. So it's still going to be heavy and hearty, but like if you think of it more like a bar, you know what I mean? If it's in that space, then it might not be quite so disappointing.
Yeah. The other thing I just wanted to endorse real quick is a link I sent Matt last night, and like 80% of the things I sent him, zero response.
Yep. Well, you probably sent it to me at like 10 and I was asleep. Yeah.
But I'm just going to say it now because I'm sure I'll forget about it. It's so fleeting, but if you look up visual effects of the movie called After the Hunt, it's
everyone
Julia
who sent
Roberts.
me a YouTube video to watch at 9:10.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. 9:10.
That seems like the perfect time to watch a YouTube video.
Jonathan,
I love how
in your life, would you be like, hold on, honey, pause traders. I've got to watch this
Dude,
After the Hunt VFX breakdown.
It's a 1.5 minute VFX breakdown reel. You don't need to even listen to the sound to watch.
I don't know that.
While you're watching Traders, come on, I don't even.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Like
Yeah,
that's
the
second
record.
screen watching for sure. But it's so if you just look up for After the Hunt VFX breakdown, it's a movie that show it to 100 people, and 100 of them will say there's no visual effects in this movie. And then once you watch it, you realize every single shot in that movie is a visual effects shot. That they didn't shoot almost any of it where you think they shot it. Like winter streets in Boston or wherever it takes place. Actually, I haven't seen the movie. Not shot there. Like everything is on blue screen. Every office, every house, every college campus, everything is blue screen or green screener. And this guy, Todd Vaziri, who is kind of pretty active on social media and he used to work at ILM, he wrote an article about like, why did they do this? And he didn't really talk specifically about After the Hunt, but he just gave 100 reasons why. Sometimes if you want a car by the river and you can't access the river, just shoot the car in a parking lot and just change the background to a river. But it's done so impeccably well that like no one in a million years would suspect this a huge VFX movie.
Yeah. Wow. It's both like I saw the movie and I had no idea until just this moment. And it's both disheartening, but also at the same time, I'm like, man, they did a really good job and I didn't know. So is it disheartening? And I'm like, a little, I look practical. Give me
the question is, did it cost more or less? And I don't know because of it.
Yeah. Well, it depends. So Julia Roberts is in this movie. And how expensive is her time is the question.
And to move her around. And he said a lot about the seasonality, like, you need to do a pickup shot, and it's now winter where it was summer last time you shot.
I think it's also important to say this is a Luca Guadagnino movie, right?
Also rep by Nikki Weiss.
Right. But the reason I bring that filmmaker up is like, he's got as much credit as you could ask for. Do you know what I mean?
But also known as this very naturalistic performance-driven, practical location type
if
of guy.
I found out that Call Me By Your Name was all green screen, it would be disappointing.
That Chalamet is just acting with the tennis ball the whole time.
Exactly. You just you want to be lounging in the Tuscan countryside.
To avoid cannibalism.
Yeah.
It wasn't a tennis ball.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it feels like right now.
The focus group was like, the tennis ball is kind of weird. Anyhow. Well, cool. Well, thanks so much, Jonathan. I will let you get back to producing our shoot and the 100 other things that you probably have going on in your life. If you have any comments, if you want to talk to us about your own relationships with producers, or maybe you are a producer and you want to tell us what you like or dislike about directors, please send us an email or justshootitpod@gmail.com or at justshootitpod across all social media. You can DM us. I'm at @okaplan on Instagram.
And I'm at Mr. Matt Unlow. This episode was edited by Kevin O. Yang. Thanks, Kevin. Our social media is done by Lily Bouffier. Thanks, Lily. And produced by Tyler Small. And you're listening to music provided by the Music Archive and the artist Jazar. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye. Thank you.